Hi, and welcome back to Grassroots Crypto, where I like to teach people about crypto. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about being a node operator. Myself and others in the community have had people reach out wanting more information on how to be a node operator. I'm going to cover some common questions so you can make an informed decision for yourself, such as, what does it mean to be a node operator? What is the minimum bond or upfront capital requirements? What skill set do you need? How much can you make being a node operator? What are the costs? What are the risks? I'll try to keep this video as simple as possible, but I need to point out that 1, I assume that you have a basic understanding of how THORChain works, e.g. churning, incentive pendulum, and so on. If you don't, that's fine. I've created videos on those subjects and I can put a link in the description below. 2, there are levels of details and nuance here. I can't cover all the details in the video. I've made a THORNode series with about 2 hours of content covering some of the lower level details. You can see them here. In a later video, I'll walk through the deployment process, sharing my tips and learning, which can be used as an accompanying video with this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe with the notification bell on so you can watch my latest videos. Like always, all the links used in this video will be in the description below. So what does it mean to be a node operator? Running a THORNode means that you're being a validator within the network. You are observing and attesting to the on-chain activity. You are providing security to the pooled assets within the network via your bond. You'll also play a role within governance as you'll be able to vote on network settings. Here's some information you can read, plus some more videos I made on THORChain and THORNodes. So what's the mindset you need? You'll want THORChain to succeed and believe in its future. You'll want to work within the network's best interest, which if done, will also work in your own interest. Generally, working against the network's best interest will cost you, so it's a win-win or no deal. Running a node is a serious undertaking. Your node needs to be up 24/7 and you have millions of dollars of capital on the line. You need to think of it like a business. It requires constant time and effort. It's not something you can just ape into and forget. That is what LPing is for. You'll need to spend several hours a day and be willing to drop everything to fix your issues, as it is your business. If your node is not running, you are not making any money and you are likely losing money. Your node is your responsibility. As a node operator controlling millions of dollars of capital with an influence on the owning and running multi-chain decentralized exchange, you can be a target. It is important that you are independent, remain anonymous, and keep strong privacy and security practices. Sloppy security and bad privacy practices can see you lose all of your funds via theft. Neglecting your node, working against the network, executing wrong commands, rushing, fat fingering can see you lose a large amount of your funds via network slashing. We'll cover more on this when talking about risks. So let's have a look at the capital requirements. The minimum bond currently set by the network is 300,000 Rune, but the market, as in the node operators, set the actual minimum bond. Node operators compete to be in the active validator set, as this is where you get the income. The effective minimum bond to be an active node operator is higher than 300,000 and constantly changes. As a guide, you will need approximately 500,000 Rune to 1 million Rune to become an active validator. That is anywhere between $2 to $6 million, depending on the price of Rune, which has changed of late. This bond is held by THORChain to secure the pooled funds and to provide economic incentive for you to do the right thing by the network. This is a rough guide, but the numbers constantly change, so I will show you where you can get the latest numbers. This page shows you all the node operators and gives you some really good stats. Here we can see we have the min bond in Rune and the max bond in Rune. Here, min bond, max bond. Plus that has the corresponding dollar figures next to it. The median bond amount would be about the lowest you want to go, and the average bond is about where you want to target. Going above the average is usually unnecessary and would be considered inefficient. If we scroll down to the standby nodes, it will show you a list of nodes waiting to get in and what their bond is. This is your competition and where you'll be when you first deploy a new node. As a minimum, you want to be at least the third highest in to get a good chance of actually getting in the next churn. Generally, the medium bond on the active list will give you that, but going more towards the average is better. Got some bond considerations. So the numbers I showed you change approximately every 3 days, as churning happens every 3 days. I have a video on churning and we'll link it in the description below, but simply put, during churning, the active validator set is rotated. Some active nodes become standby and some standby nodes become active. So check the numbers regularly, as the median and average active bond will change after churning. Lastly, once you are active, you cannot withdraw any bond. So you must be in the standby state, e.g. churned out for that. So how much can you make being a node operator? You're looking at about 6,000 to 10,000 rune per month. Note this does fluctuate depending on the system activity. And I've got a graph here that shows you the fluctuation. So this is a bit of an average. This works out to about $40,000 to $70,000 per month, depending on the price of rune, which, as I said before, has changed a bit. Every node gets churned out at some point. Thus, there will be times when your node is not active, e.g. not generating any of those rewards that can be turned into income. You need to account for when you're churned out. My figures do account for that. Like with bond, you cannot withdraw your income whilst active. You need to think about your cash flow here, as it's not going to be constant, and you can be active for months on end. Let's talk about slash points. So a node is rewarded for every block you are active. THORChain has the ability to fine you for doing the wrong thing. Hence, you want to be working in the network's best interest. This fine is called a slash point, and one slash point is worth one block of rewards to a node operator. But this is not to be confused with a block reward, which is one component of the overall reward in one block for a node operator. You can rewind that, listen to it again, or just trust me and move on. Small amounts of fines or slash points are normal. Large amounts of these slash points can have a significant impact on your income. We'll discuss this more in the risk section. When the node is churned out, e.g. no longer active, this is a good time to take income to pay bills, yourself, and so on. With a high enough bond, you're looking at 95 to 99% active time. If your bond is low, your active time will be much less, and this would have a significant effect on your income. There are other factors that affect your income that I've got down here. The formula for working out your income is listed here, and you can compare your slash points with other node operators to see how you go. Note, the rewards column here already includes the deducted slash points that are accrued over here. There's also a new tool that you can have a look to get your geek on here that's all about slash points. So what does it cost? Costs are generally fixed as a node operator. You're looking about $1,000 to $2,000 USD per month for hosting. And that's for a cloud provider like Amazon, Google, DigitalOcean, stuff like that. And that's where your node is going to live. This price will increase as more chains are added, as it requires storage to hold all that blockchain data. You will access your node from an admin computer. This can be a home computer. However, we recommend that you always have it in the cloud so you can access it anywhere. And this will cost you about $10 to $20 per month to host. As a node needs to be up 24/7, you may pay for monitoring and alerting tools so you can be notified if something is needed. Plus whatever you pay yourself. You might pay more to hire a sysadmin or someone technical to help you out, or you may buy any educational materials to help you get yourself up to speed, though most of it is free on the internet. Looking at the commitment here, node operations usually takes a couple of hours per day. That's to check your node, voting on something, reviewing updates, looking at the code, so on and so forth. Some days there may be nothing to do, other days may take more than 8 hours, especially if things are wrong or things need to be fixed. You'll also spend time keeping up to date on Discord to learn about upcoming changes, impacts of votes, changes to the network, so on and so forth. Your income is dependent on your node being operational, so you want to be prepared to fix things when they go wrong, as it may cost you money if you do not. Your node is your responsibility and no one else's. Let's look at some risks. Now, I don't want to scare anyone here, but you do need to understand that there are risks to being a node operator. Here are 4 main investment risks that apply to being a node operator, and there could be more. First, we have the capital risk. So that's the capital invested loses value due to market forces, which is really like market risk, because you're 100% exposed to Rune. You could lose all or part of your bond, either through find or theft, through poor security or privacy. And lastly, someone steals all of your capital because you got poor security, you leaked your seed phrase, people got access to the wrong things. Like with any crypto, theft would be your biggest risk here, and I cannot overstate this. I created a video on this subject called THORNode Security and Best Practices, with giving out some tips, so check it out here. And here are some of the attack vectors that THORChain has documented for your node. Just to restate this, we obviously got a screenshot here from the docs, and you can lose some or all of your income and bond if you don't manage risks appropriately. Then we have liquidation risks. So that's you can't sell out or leave when you want to. So that's you can't claim reward or bond when you want to because you're active and you can be in for quite some time. You have to wait until you've been churned out or send a leave request or stuff like that. Churning may be a pause, so you're stuck active. Or there might be a network hold or a consensus failure or something's going on that prevents you from leaving. There is the return amount risk. So the ROI, or what you expected to get, the income, is going to be lower due to some reason. So that might be low or no rewards due to the slash points you've accrued, market forces that reduce the price of Rune, particularly on the income side when you're dependent on it, low swap volumes that reduces income. There's a couple of different factors here. Then you have the control risk. Something happens that is out of your control, e.g. a protocol risk, like when you hand over funds to a protocol and something happens to that. Examples would be the network hold, a network exploit. Anything that adversely affects your capital, is your bond or your income or the value of that. There are links in the description below with more details on these risks. So except for major theft of bond, pretty much every risk here has been realized within THORChain. Whether that's a good thing, like it's happened and we've learnt from it, or you see there's a bad thing, it's up to you. Let's look more specifically at running a node and how you can be fined, aka slashed, which affects your reward income. So there are 5 ways you can be fined, which reduces either your bond or your income. Look, I really had to deep dive on the details here as the docs weren't 100% correct. So I'm going to break it down for you now. So there are 2 ways that your bond can be directly reduced. So we have the double signing here. And this should never occur unless you're actively trying to work against the network. This takes 5% of the minimum bond from your bond every time it occurs. So at the moment, that would be 15,000 Rune every time it occurs. And if it repeats, it can take all of your bond. And again, this should never happen, not even once, if all things are being done correctly. Second is unauthorized transactions. Your bond is deducted 1.5 times the value of the transaction. If someone steals your Yggdrasil vault, which is typically 25% of your bond, you can be slashed 37.5% of your bond. The remainder 3 reduce your rewards, such as not observing, not signing a transaction, or failed keygen. Some amount of slashing is normal and to be expected. You track your rewards and slash points here, which will also give you a sense of how you're going compared to other nodes, because people do get a bit worked up about these slash points. Note the reward column already includes the reward deducted from the slash points, so this rewards column is going to be your net rewards. Okay, so 2 war stories. One node operator back in the single chain ChaosNet days was running a ChaosNet node and a testnet node at the same time using the same admin computer. So they decided to delete their entire ChaosNet node accidentally, thinking it was their testnet node. I can't recall the exact numbers, but they lost most of their bond, so think like $100,000 plus. Only a fraction of their bond was able to be recovered. Another node operator neglected their node for over a month. It must have been like much more than that. It was a fair amount of time, and was slashed over $250,000. This was the infamous 04YD node. For a long time, no one knew what happened to that particular node. It turned out that the node operator had assigned a team to monitor and manage the node, but they neglected it. They kind of like forgot it was there. So be careful who you trust with your node or to monitor your node. There are other stories out there of node operators losing large amounts of funds. In summary, there are significant risks to being a node operator, and it is not something you just ape into and forget. You need to appropriately manage these risks to protect yourself, e.g. your privacy and identity, as well as your funds. Many people wanted to know what skill sets you need to run a THORNode. The best way to understand the skills you need is to understand the components in a typical setup. So here are the typical components you'll be working with as a THORNode operator. So first, there is you, the actual node operator. Secondly, you're going to have a hosting provider. This can be AWS, DigitalOcean, Google, Azure, just to name a few. This is where your node will be hosted, or what the node runs on or in, whatever you want to say. Next, we have the Kubernetes cluster, which runs all the bits and pieces that make up your node. Within the Kubernetes cluster, you have your THORNode itself with all the different components, which looks something like this. See my THORNode in detail video for more information. So all this stuff in blue is what is inside of this. You can use an admin computer to administer your node, e.g. create, manage, destroy. While it doesn't actually run anything itself, it interacts directly with the cloud provider and the Kubernetes cluster, which contains sensitive information that can be used to steal funds. So you want to keep this admin computer clean and secure. Next, you have your THORChain wallet. This should be a ledger using AsgardEx. This is where your bond will live before you bond in, and where your income and bond will be sent back to when you instruct it. If you lose this wallet while active, you cannot get your bond back. There are several attack vectors using this wallet. You must keep it secure. A link to a guide on using AsgardEx with Ledger with native rune is in the description below. Next is the Asgard Vault, and this is what holds your bond when you bond in. You'll have a Yggdrasil Vault as a part of your node deployment, which holds network funds. The network funds held in this vault is usually about 25% of the value of your bond. Your node has the private key to this particular vault. You can do make mnemonic and actually get the mnemonic seed of this Yggdrasil vault that is holding network funds. If somebody steals the funds within this network, it is an unauthorized transaction and your bond will be slashed 1.5 times the value that's been taken. Hence your bond is THORChain's insurance, e.g. your economic incentive. If you steal the funds, or if someone else does, you'll pay for it through the reduction of your bond. Lastly, you have Discord. This is the THORChain Dev Discord, where you can keep up to date with everything that is happening in the network. So now we've covered that, let's actually have a look at the skills. So first, you're going to need some Linux experience. So this will be for your admin computer, which will all be done via command line. Can you make a new folder, list directories, or change attributes of a file using the Linux command line? If not, probably want to learn about that. Next is understanding Kubernetes. Kubernetes is a containerization technology like Docker. If you understand Docker, that is good. If you don't, then you'll need to read up and learn more about that. You'll be working a lot with Kubernetes to maintain your node, so you'll want to understand it. Next, you'll need to work with the cloud provider. So do you understand how to create a remote CLI account? Do you know where to view your provisioned hardware? Do you understand the billing? Can you secure it with 2FA? All those type of things. You'll need the understanding of what a full node is and what that means. So do you know what an IBD is? Do you understand what the mempool, block height, and all that type of jargon is? You'll want to understand that. In addition to this, you need to be comfortable with self-custody wallets, e.g. like with a Ledger or Ledger with AsgardEx desktop. You need to know how to send transactions, view transactions in a block explorer, self-custody funds, backup wallets in Metal, and all that type of stuff. So have you ever LP'd in THORChain before? Because you would need to use the self-custody wallet to do that. Understanding how blockchain works, even just the basics. So what a transaction ID is, what BFT consensus, and the basics of how a blockchain works. You'll be working with millions of dollars of crypto and specific technologies here. You need to be comfortable with this. If you are not, you need to get comfortable. I was not an expert on all of this when I started doing a testnet node. I had to take the time to learn, understand, brush up on many things. And to be honest, I'm still learning. So be honest with your skill set here. If there are things you need to learn first, do that before going too hard at this. I've included a lot of links in the description below for your learning if you need to. So when I was making this video, on Twitter, I asked, what questions do people want answered regarding a node operator? So let's have a look at the main ones I've got back. So the first two I've answered, but there are a couple that I haven't. So the first one is, where can I host a THORnode? And if we go to Cluster Launcher, these are the specific hosting platforms that are supported. Once you've deployed one, you can select what region you want to deploy it in. So in America, Europe, Asia, so on. You can host it yourself, like a bare metal setup, but that is a very, very advanced setup. What happens if I'm not available 24/7? I guess because, people do sleep. That's a good question. You can set up self-monitoring. Some monitoring tools are provided out of the box with the THORnode, but you can add more on top. You can hire someone to help with this or to monitor your node for you. But do remember, as we talked about before, you need to be careful about who you trust access with your THORnode and who you get to monitor your THORnode for you. 3, how can you do a make logs? So you can do this from the command line here. If you do make logs, it's going to show you the logs of the THORnode pod. Here is a screenshot of a make help with all the different commands that you can run. You can see logs is here. Inside of this video, it gets to more specifics of getting the logs for every pod that runs within your THORnode, and you can view it right here. Lastly, where can I go to ask questions or to get help? Well, you can put them in the comment section below of this video, or, which is probably best, you can go to the THORChain Dev Discord, which has many different channels, and I've highlighted the most important channels here. You can ask many questions, get help. There's a network relay as well, so you can anonymously ask questions. It's really good. I have a link in the description below for the Dev Discord server. So in this video, I provided you with a lot of information. Has this helped you make a decision to be a node operator? Do you have any unanswered questions? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this information useful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this useful. Until next time, thanks,